Siphinde sinibingelele kwiKaya TV2. Wena-ke oqala ukungenela ikhasi, siyacela ucofe ibhathini subscribe ukuze uzothola indaba njengoba zinjalo. Kulo msindo olandelayo kuchazwa kabanzi ukuthi i-two-pot system izosebenza kanjani izimpesheni zabasebenzi ezoqala ngomhla ka-1 September. Okwakho wena ukuthi ulalele kulo msindo olandelayo.
Colleagues, as you all know, the new legislation that has been signed and has come into effect in relation to all the pension funds in the country. So government employees pension fund has not been spared. So we are also going to be part and parcel of the two-pot system. So how the system is going to work is as follows. 1st of September, so from the 1st of September 2024, all public servants, 1.3 million public servants, all of us are going to belong to the two-pot system. Whether you like it or not, you're going to be part and parcel of the two-pot system.
What is a two-pot system?
Ma'am, can you hold your question so that I finish the presentation? Because if you are asking me what is a two-pot, it means I must leave the presentation and ask it. So can you just hold on, note your question down. Once I'm done, you can then post your question. Is that fair?
Listen attentively.
The two-pot is a two-pot. Is that a fair question?
You're answering me now.
Exactly. As I said, give me a chance so that I can explain to everyone what is a two-pot, instead of wanting to individualize the whole thing. Is that fair?
Very fair.
Thank you very much. So, whether you like it or not, all of us, including myself, we are going to be part and parcel of the two-pot system. Now, come the 1st of September, any other amount for everything that you have accumulated, everything that you have accumulated, it's going to be into the vested pot. So it means if you've got 20 years, if you've got 15 years, 10 years that you have worked, the value of your pension that the employer and the employee contributes, that value, it's going to be transferred into the vested pot. By the 31st August, that value in here is going to be transferred. So those two dates are very critical. I'll just make a note of them. 31st August, 1st of September. So whatever you have in here, the value is going to be in the vested pot. Now, then there is going to be, by the 1st of September, there's going to be a second pot, which is your savings pot, and then you're going to have another pot, which is your retirement pot. So, let's make an example. Say the value in here you have 500,000 in there, or you got 1.2 million, 1.5 million, whatever the value is in, but this is just an example so that you have an understanding. So 10% of this value is going to be transferred into your savings pot, which means the amount here, 10% of 500,000 is 50,000. It's going to be transferred into your savings pot. Now, what the new rules are saying, whatever the value, whatever the amount that is in your savings pot, even if, for example, say your vested pot, it's 2.5 million, only 10% of that 2.5 million, it's going to be transferred into your savings pot. So whatever you have in here, the maximum amount that you can withdraw it's only 30,000, which is the maximum. And please remember, the 30,000 that you will withdraw from your savings pot, it is subject to tax. The minimum amount that you can withdraw from there,
2,000.
it's 2,000, subject to tax. Now, this is where we are. Now, colleagues, here is the important thing that you must remember. So, if you want to resign and receive all your money, you have up until the 31st of August to do so. After the 31st of August, which means the 1st of September, if you want to resign, you still have that option to receive all your money. But you are only going to receive what is in the vested pot, meaning that the balance that is there. Remember, 10% was taken out of the value in there. It was transferred in here. So it means you are only going to receive what is in your vested pot and what is in your savings pot. Now, remember, if you look at your salary advice, each one of us know how much is your contribution towards pension. Now, this is an example. Say your contribution, it's 3,000. 1/3 of the 3,000, which is 1,000 rand, will be as your contribution from the 1st of September going forward. So meaning, the 1st of September, you are going to start on a clean slate to contribute towards pension. So that you have already contributed before, when you started at social development or when you started at government, all of those contributions are in your vested pot. So meaning now, the 1st of September, 1/3 of your total contribution will be transferred into your savings pot. The 2/3, which is the 2,000 rand, will be going into your retirement pot. So now we're going back at resignation. So at resignation, we said you have up until the 31st of August to receive everything that you have accumulated. Of course, it's subject to tax. Come the 1st of September or at the end of October, whatever year, but after September, that you want to resign, you are not going to receive all your money. You are only going to receive what is in the vested pot and what is in your savings pot. Any other amount that is in the retirement pot, you are not going to receive it. Now, if this amount, 165,000, if the amount that is in the retirement pot, it's less than 165,000, you are only going to receive this amount when you turn 60. If this amount is greater than 165,000, at 60, they're going to pay it out to you as an annuity, as a monthly pension. So that is what's going to happen. Now, very important. Come the 1st of September, each one of us, we are going to have a 10% that is in our savings pot. So it gives you an opportunity. If you want to make a withdrawal, you can make a withdrawal. But if you don't want to make a withdrawal and you leave everything as it is, even though you will belong to the two pot, you can just continue as normal. So at the time that you retire, you will still receive everything that is due to you. Meaning that at early retirement, if you want to go on early retirement, you are still going to be subjected to receive a 1/3 of your money. The 2/3 remains behind as per the rules of the fund. Then you will receive a monthly pension as it is currently. The same with normal retirement. When you go normal retirement, say 1st of September, 2 pot come into effect. At the end of October, you turn 60, you go on pension. You are still going to subject to the same rules as what it is now, where you will receive a 1/3 of your money. The 2/3 remains behind. It's paid out to you on a monthly basis up until you pass on one day. So that's how the rules are. Now, each one of us will have money in our savings account come the 1st of September. Again, colleagues, very important. The decision you make to withdraw out of here come the 1st of September, it's going to have an impact in the value of your pension. 1. 2, it's also going to have an impact on your service years. Now let me explain that one. Say 2024, or all right, the other thing before I go to 2024. So in here, you are allowed to make one withdrawal every tax season, every financial, let me just put it financial year. So the cycle, it's till the 31st, one is the tax season, next it will be March 31st, I think, if my memory serves me well. So you will then also have an opportunity next year. So meaning, come the 1st of September, you make a withdrawal. Again, colleagues, it will only be dependent as to how much you have into your savings pot. If you have less than 30,000 or you have less than 2,000 rand, you will have to wait up until it accumulates a maximum amount so that you can withdraw the 30,000. But if there is less than 30,000, you will only be subjected to make a withdrawal of 2,000 rand. So this amount, which is very important, as you withdraw from the savings pot, say you are withdrawing every year for the next 3 to 4, 5 years, every year you withdraw from the savings pot, it is going to have an impact, colleagues. Now, what's going to happen here is, say 5 years or 10 years down the line from now, you've been withdrawing from the savings pot. You make a decision, do you want to resign or you want to retire? Then you want to come back and say, for the past 4 years, you've been making withdrawals from the savings pot. They're now going to calculate in terms of the amounts that are here. And say, for example, you've got 10 years service, just as an example. If these amounts for the past 4 to 5 years that you've been withdrawing equals to, say, 3 years, 3 years of your 10-year service is going to be withdrawn. They're going to reduce your service and you will only have 7 years service. So, you need to be very careful. Do not just withdraw out of the savings pot not knowing what is the impact going to be. And at the same time, it is your decision, it is your choice whether you want to withdraw or you don't want to withdraw. If you don't withdraw and you just continue as normal, there's nothing wrong. But immediately you make a withdrawal, it's going to have an impact in your service years. Now, in as far as the issue of a divorce is concerned, how the two-pot system is going to have an impact on the issue of the divorce. Remember, currently with a divorce, if you divorce currently with the current system, GPF is only interested in the final divorce order that you received from court. And that divorce order must stipulate what is the percentage that GPF must calculate the value of your pension and pay your ex-spouse. directly into her account or his account. You only have that option up until the 31st of August. From the 1st of September, when you get divorced, you are not going to receive the total value of what is due to you because of the divorce. You are only going to receive a 1/3 of the value of that divorce money. The 2/3, if you are a government employee, you can opt for that amount, the 2/3, to be transferred into your pension fund. Or alternatively, if you're not a government employee person, you can elect any other pension fund, which is Old Mutual, Sanlam, whatever, for them to take their 2/3 and pay into that preservation fund, which will be preserved for that person till he or she turns 60. So that is with the issue of the divorce. And the reason why this was done, currently we're sitting with about 8,000 fraudulent divorce claims. Where couples or husband and wife collude to get divorced so that they can cash in on the pension fund. And when they are done, go to Home Affairs, get married, and life goes on. So, that loophole has been closed. Come the 1st of September, you would not be able to do that any longer. So colleagues, that is to do with the two-pot system. If you have an annuity policy that is at a different institution, you can, my advice, but I don't know each one of your financial situation, so my advice would be, if you have an annuity and indeed you are in a financial distress, rather opt to take from your annuity policy. Because at your annuity policy, remember they then calculate, it's a projected amount based on the markets, how they react to the investments. So there they will say to you, by the time you turn 55, we project that you are going to receive a 1.5 million as a value, and then monthly we'll be able to pay you a certain amount. But now if you make a withdrawal, come the 1st of September from your annuity, all it's going to do, it's going to lower the value of what you are supposed to receive at age 55 or at 60. Rather than opting for the one of government employees pension fund where they are going to reduce your service. So if you've got an annuity and indeed you are interested or you want to make a withdrawal, you have an option at a different institution. But again, the decision is entirely up to you, whether you want to withdraw or whether you don't want to withdraw. The same as resignation. The decision is entirely up to you, whether you want to resign or you don't want to resign. You have that option. So it's the same here with the two-pot system. I will take questions now. I've got one hand over here. That's the second hand. Any other hand? All right. In the absence of no other hand, let's entertain you. Yes, ma'am?
I just want to know what is the main purpose of this two-pot system? Because I feel like as an employee, it does not benefit me.
Okay. Remember, ma'am, the initial idea of the two-pot system was to give relief during the COVID period where people were not working and all of that. But somehow, in terms of the proposal from Treasury and from all the unions, this whole system took a twist in terms of its implementation. So the actual purpose was to give relief to government employees' pension funds, those that are contributing, or the municipal pension fund, all other pension funds. But somehow it took a twist in its implementation. The initial proposal was to allow pensioners to access their pension funds. But that whole proposal was cancelled, and this whole system came into place. So, I'm not sure which union you belong to, but all unions, SATU, NEHAU, PSA, all the unions, they were represented on the board to negotiate this whole system.
And they agreed to it.
They all agreed to it.
Wow.
And then there was a, I'm not sure how many of you guys, there was an open consultation where you could make a comment whether you agree or not. It was there. I saw it on National Treasury's website, where you could go online and then you can just raise your issues or your concerns in terms of this whole proposal. And then the other thing is the amount that was here, the 30,000. The proposal was 50,000, but unfortunately they could not agree, and it was reduced to 30,000, which is subject to tax.
I have a question.
Your hand is noted, ma'am. Are you okay, ma'am?
Yes, and for now.
Okay. There's a second hand. Yes, ma'am. What's your question?
Is it possible for the proposal to be reversed, maybe put into our work email address? Because we never saw those proposals for treasurer. I get the number on your website in the treasurer.
Your question is so valid, right? But the sad part is the president before the election signed this into law. So for them to reverse it, it's going to take another 30 years. I'm not sure what. I'm not sure what it's going to take. But through your union representatives, I've said it, I think, so many other times to the other colleagues, that you've got your shop stewards, you've got those people that represent. NEHAU is represented on there. PSA is represented on the board of trustees. So if there's any unhappiness, it is you, the members, that must speak to the people that you have put up there on the board of trustees to indicate your unhappiness with this. That is how far I can answer you. But normally, what the legislation that has been approved by government and approved by parliament and the finance committee, once they have signed it in, for them to reverse it, I'm not sure what it's going to take. Maybe it's going to take a whole bigger petition, the 1.3 million public servants, all of them must agree to say we don't agree to this thing. And most probably government will listen. I don't know, but that's the best I can answer you. Yes, ma'am, your hand is noted here.
Okay, thank you, sir. Now, as far as I see this thing, it's not meant to benefit the employees. There's someone who's going to benefit from this thing. Who's that person? I don't know.
The Oppenheimers.
The poor
But
Oppenheimers.
I just want to check the example that you've made, the vested pot.
Yes.
Got that 500,000. Then you said 10%.
10% of this,
goes to
the savings pot, yes.
So now, does it remain there? The 450 that remains, does it remain there at the vested? And then you start from the scratch with the retirement pot.
Yeah.
That's my question.
In terms of the growth of the pension, right? Remember, currently, your pension does grow. And the amount that you would normally see on the benefit statement, and if you read right at the bottom there when we give you a benefit statement, it says the amount that is it's a projected amount. It's not an exact amount. So it's like, what's the simpler term I can use? They are, based on the markets, they are predicting that by the time you retire, more or less, this is what you will receive because of the actuarial factor. So what it means then is, even the amount that you have left, the 450,000, it will grow, but not at the rate at these two will grow. As an example, just as an example, say the actuarial factors, the projected amount, they say the growth for this year would be about 6%. This one will most probably just receive 2%, and this two will receive the bulk of the remainder. Your hand was up, there's another hand.
Okay, colleagues. You said the main initial purpose for this was to bring financial relief, right, to the employees. So my question is, I don't know, I think I heard you correctly, or I would need clarity on this. Let's say I've got 500,000. Okay, you said in order to withdraw on my savings, I must have at least 30,000 rand. If I have less than 30,000 rand, then I'm not qualifying to withdraw from my savings.
You have a minimum of 2,000.
So if I have 30,000 rand, I can only withdraw 2,000 rand. Is that what?
No, that's not what I'm
Okay,
saying.
can we
I'm saying
clarity on that?
the maximum is 30 in your
30,000
savings.
on my savings.
Yes. Now, if you don't have 30,000, you have less than 30, say you've got 15,000, you have
Then
an
we
option
can
to
only
go on the
withdraw
minimum
30,000.
amount.
Okay.
No, not 30, minimum.
The minimum.
Yes.
So am I able, if I'm only having that 30,000 rand on my savings, am I allowed to withdraw it? All
Yes,
of
you
it?
can withdraw it.
Okay.
But
my
remember,
follow-up
it's subject to
question.
tax. I just want to clarify
It's
that.
subject to tax.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the said part.
Yeah.
And then my follow-up question, in terms of withdrawals, how long must I wait in order to withdraw
Okay.
after I've lodged in?
Very good question. Currently, we don't have the administration, but I know Old Mutual, Sanlam, Liberty, and all the others, their systems are up and running. I have one at Old Mutual, so I know what I'm talking about. So in terms of treasury, most probably just check your global mail that treasury will send. So most probably in this week or next week, before the end of July, we should have a guideline or documentation to say those that want to apply to withdraw from their fund, you either have to go through your HR as what you do when you resign. These are the documentation that you need to complete so that you can make a withdrawal. And again, I would want to believe the same principle will apply. When you resign, you'll have to wait for 60 working days. If all the documentation has been completed correctly, you would then receive what you have withdrawn from the fund. Are you okay? Thanks. Yes, ma'am, your hand was up.
Savings, retirement. Okay, vested day, 450. 450 only. I got no year I'm allowed to I can retire. 450 you are on Hamo, you're only I will take sewage. What you say? Eh, I retire. What are these Madian Casa? How are you pensioning? What are Madian Casa takes me again? I tell you, guys. And then you are going to go out and see again. Mama. I can't do another taxi. Yeah, no, answer a good one just September. I alone, I'm on a water was in Suluti or I can't a cab for. I can't 70% citizens living or a hundred of Naya to Texas 40.
Okay. For the benefit of the others that when you go on retirement, area retirement, okay, or normal retirement, whatever the value is in here, your 450,000 plus, as I made an example, it might grow with about 2% based on the actuarial factors. So whatever is in here, plus whatever is in here, and whatever is in here, all these amounts will be calculated together to see what is your value. And then it will be sent for tax. And then SARS will give us a directive to say, this is how much this person must pay for tax. We will then give you a 1/3 of your money, and the 2/3 it's paid out to you as an annuity on a monthly basis up until you pass on one day. The rule still remains the same, nothing has changed.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am? Yes, colleagues, there's a hand, can we?
I know, I think you answered that question, but I just want you to refresh it again for me. Let's say I'm 54, I want to retire, it will be early retirement year.
No, 54 is resignation. Early retirement starts from 55 to
Okay.
60.
So it will be resignation.
Yes.
So am I going to get my money there in the vested pot?
Okay, at 54, let's make an example. You then resign because early retirement starts at 55. So 54 will be resignation. So what it means now, the amount that you have in here, the balance that you have in here, and the balance that you have in here, that will be paid to you as a lump sum subject to tax. Whatever that you have contributed in the retirement pot, you will wait for 6 years. Again, it depends what is the value in here. If it's less than 165, it will be paid out to you as a lump sum. But if it's more than 165,000, it will be paid out to you as an annuity up until it depletes. Colleagues, I've got one hand here, I've got the second hand, and I've got the third hand at the back. Yes, ma'am?
My question is that 2/3 after 60. What?
2/3 after 60 or this one, yeah.
When I go on normal retirement. Say for instance, I passed on 65.
Okay,
What is going to happen to my money?
all right. Now, remember, 1, 2, 3 has been calculated, right? At 60, you go on pension.
Yes.
Those are the rules currently. You receive your 1/3 as a lump sum. The 2/3 remains behind, right? Whatever the amount that is left in here, the balance at the time of death, we are now going to look at your WP 1002. If you, what? Who's asking what is a WP? Anyone who doesn't know what is a WP? Who's your insurance? Who's your insurance? Guys. How is the WP? Hey, colleagues. You don't know what the nomination form is? A WP. The form itself is a WP 1002. It's a nomination form. I was now wondering.
Trying to work with that form, so if
No,
it's a nomination
no,
form, yes.
quickly, colleagues. Again, it is your responsibility as an employee to put pressure on your HR to ensure that your WP is updated. Because should you die right now, it's going to have a major impact in terms of those people you leave behind. Because remember, if you don't have a nomination form, whatever that is left or whatever you have accumulated, your children, your wife, or whoever you leave behind, they are going to struggle. And let me just go to this nomination form and explain to you the importance of a nomination form. I'll get back to you. But anyway, quickly. So whatever is left in here, we're then going to ask for the nomination form. And we're going to look at the nomination form. If you have nominated your husband 100%, your husband receives 100%. If you have nominated your kids 50-50, we are going to pay out according to how you have nominated.
But are they getting it as a lump sum? Or
They get it as a lump sum.
Claro.
Yes.
So there's nothing that they're getting it monthly basis.
No.
Alright.
Only your husband is going to receive. But I see, let me just leave the two boxes then. And then I'm going to quickly just go through important things which I suspect you guys even don't know. Colleagues, it's important. You've got to engage your HR. Because colleagues, alright, it's important that you engage because, like, I don't want to lie, it's a bit embarrassing. You know that I'm standing here and you guys like, and it's not supposed to be. You're supposed to know these things, and your HR need to communicate. I mean, I was here. Lorato was here. I was here in the office, and now we were sitting there. We went through the cases. They need to organize sessions like this, where you guys engage GPF, where you guys engage GEMS. I mean, I'm sure if I can talk about the free benefit in terms of medical, you guys would also be surprised that there's a free benefit.
Exactly.
You guys will also be surprised to know that the funeral benefit has gone up. It's 20,000, it's not 15,000. So, let me before I get, yes ma'am.
Nokuthi, are we still allowed to, after the 1st of September, are we still, withdraw to take my pay? Let me say I'm getting a promotional post in another department, I'm still in the government sector, then I want to take my pension. Am I still going to be allowed after the 1st of September?
Yes, but you are only going to get the vested and the savings. Whatever is in the retirement pot will be preserved for you till you turn 60. Yes, ma'am, that's all I have.
How only vested savings retirement. Now I was under the impression of what you're saying, the value that one has now is going to be more vested pot. Then I thought you said for what is in the vested pot, it's going to be split into two. So for now, for the air savings, the retirement in
At the 1st September. All right. Now, colleagues, let's quickly go through this. There is a form that we call a WP 1002. It's your nomination form. Each one of us must have a nomination form that is in your work file. And that very same nomination form must reflect the same at Government Employees Pension Fund on our system. So that at the time of your death, we must have an idea who are the people that you have nominated. So that we pay out in accordance to your wishes. Now, your circumstances, they do change. Oh, I thought your hand was up. Your circumstances changes. You get married, you have kids, you don't have a nomination form. You pass on. Those that you leave behind, first and foremost, they must go to the High Court in Kimberley. They must get a letter of authority and they must open up an estate late account, which in itself is a long process. But if you have nominated, it makes it so easy for us to say, these are the people that you have nominated, we pay out in accordance to your wishes. So colleagues, it's important you have a nomination form. If HR was here, I would say to HR, and again, please inform HR, they must start a project where they give each one of you in the office a nomination form so that you complete it, a copy thereof. They must make copies of that nomination form. I will come collect them and I'll take them to Kimberley, I'll process them into the system. But if you have a nomination form that is already there, then there's no need. But I'm going to ask the guys, they must run this project. And colleagues, when you submit your WP, it must have the copies of the ID either of your husband or that of your kids. Your own copy of the ID must also be there. It must be certified, and then you must give your your percentages, how much you give each of those that you nominate. Very important. Now, in terms of your question, there's what we call a spouse pension, SP. A spouse pension, how it works. At the time of your death and you are married, GPF calculates your pension most probably should have been 10,000. By virtue of you being married to your husband, GPF is going to pay you a spouse pension, which is half of this amount on a monthly basis up until you pass on. It's a free benefit that it's not be deducted from your salary or from your pension. It's called a spouse pension. Then there is the funeral benefit. 1st of April, the funeral benefit went up to 20,000. If both of you are working for government, you and your husband, married legally so, you submit what is it? If your husband pass on or your wife pass on, you submit 2 funeral claims. The one is from your own persal, the other one is from the deceased persal, which means you're going to get 40,000, but it's subject to tax. While we're at the funeral, if okay, I need to get the wording of this one correct, because I did a presentation some other time and the other person felt the wording I used was offensive. I just need to get the wording correct. If you were expecting, let me put it that way, pregnancy, and you have lost the child, it's a stillborn, it must be the first 26 weeks of that pregnancy. And if you have lost the child of a natural cause, it must not be of your own doing. You can still submit a claim for funeral benefit. Now, if both of you are working for government as parents of a child and you are married, your child passes on, but it must be till age 18. Above 18, unfortunately, you can submit a claim for the funeral. It's 15,000 rand. At GPF. Now, that is what's happening. Now, there is also what we call a child's pension. A child's pension is up until the age of 18, which is matric. And if the child proceeds to go to a university or a college till age 22, that child will still receive a child's pension if the parent has passed away and the child is still in school. But if the child has decided to leave school, is no more at school, unfortunately, it will not be considered. So there's a child's pension that the child can receive. Whoever is the guardian of this child will needs to apply for guardianship at the High Court. You say, I'm the legal guardian of this child. You then take the copy of your ID together with that letter and all the necessary documentation. Then you submit a GPF. That child will receive a child's pension up until 18, and thereafter will receive. Yes, ma'am? Yes. If the child,
like permanent disability.
yes, that child also qualifies for the funeral, but you need to submit the necessary documentation and proof.
For the funeral, and then after, she's still going to get something.
I cannot talk of it as a funeral.
No,
Why? How I not talk of Allah, then there's only the child that is permanent disability. Is that what you're asking? Whoever is looking after that child, which is the legal guardian of that child, right, will receive all the proceeds. Meaning now, they will apply for your funeral, which is 20, and then this child that is permanent disability will receive a child's pension, but it will be paid to the person that is the legal guardian of that child.
You know, just under the age.